It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. I have a confession to make. And this may not sound great up front, but I'm going to tell you why this is everything. Tomorrow, I'll be speaking at Social Media Marketing World, and I think it's in its 10th or 11th or 12th year. I'm not exactly sure, but all I know is I've been there every single year, and I've been on the keynote stage twice. I have run multiple workshops, and every time I've had these amazing slides. One of my superpowers, actually, is creating slides that really tie into the talk that I'm giving, and sometimes very memorable slides, especially when it comes to frameworks and things like that. But I have a confession to make. Like I said earlier, I don't have my slides ready. I don't have my slides ready. In fact, I haven't even gotten started yet. It is Monday, March 31st. I speak on April 1st. And no, I'm not going to go up on stage and go, April Fools, I don't have my slides. I'm not prepared. No, I'm completely prepared. Because the truth is, I will not be using slides at all. And this will be the first time that I will have never used slides on a presentation like this. I was always so worried and so obsessed with these slides and how they look that I started to notice that they started to take away from me actually thinking about how can I best engage with the audience. And so I'm going to practice something that I speak heavily about in my upcoming book, Lean Learning. In last week's episode, I gave you a little reading from Lean Learning, so you can go and listen to that one if you haven't already. That's 865. Today, however, I'm going to be talking about something called voluntary force functions. And my very first experience with a voluntary force function was 15 years ago. About 15 years ago. It was actually 14 years ago, but a very long time. And it was my first time on a stage. So yes, we're coming full circle here. And you might have heard my story about speaking on stage for the first time, but I'll retell it really quickly here. And I have to thank Philip Taylor, the founder of FinCon, because that was the first event that I ever spoke at its inaugural event in Schaumburg, Illinois in 2011. And at this point, I had just started my blog just a few years back. I was just getting my wheels going with my podcast. My podcast started 1 year prior, and I had never done any public speaking, and I was deathly afraid of it. And I had opportunities, but I said no because of that timidness, because I was scared of it. I was scared of what people would say. I was scared of what people would think. I didn't think I'd do a good job. I liked blogging because I could write ahead of time, and if I made mistakes, I can just correct those. But oh my gosh, live on a stage, like what am I going to do if I make a mistake? People are going to throw tomatoes at me. I don't even know where they get these tomatoes from, but that's what I thought. And so I avoided it at all costs. That is until Philip, or PT as I call him, he reached out to me and he said, Pat, I have this event. I'd love to have you speak at the very first one. I'd love for you to do a breakout session. And as much as I wanted to say no, I wanted to help a friend out. And so I had this thing on my calendar in the next 6 months that I saw that I needed to work toward. And that was a voluntary force function. I volunteered to put myself in a situation of heightened pressure to force myself to do something that I knew I needed to do and to actually do that work. And immediately I started brainstorming and coming up with a presentation. It was a presentation about standing out of the crowd. I was doing a good job in my space, in the world of, no, not my space, like the platform. I got to make sure I make that clear because I, yes, was on MySpace, but I wasn't teaching MySpace. Man, I'm old. Does anybody remember MySpace? Oh my gosh, the glitter and the marquees and the top 5 friends and how much drama was caused when you had friends replace other friends. It was just a whole thing. Now, that really hasn't changed, only the technology has. Anyway, going back to the entrepreneurial space, I was becoming known very rapidly for certain things. I had created an income report that people were reading. I was getting interviewed on a lot of podcasts and being positioned as somebody who was an expert in the business space. I had this case study in my architecture business that I could share, and that put me in a place of authority. I talked about the importance of authority building and using things like your own case studies to build that authority a number of episodes back. In case you want to listen to it, it's one of my favorites of this year so far, and that is 861, How to Make People See You as an Authority, even if you're not famous yet. So go and listen to that one. Anyway, PT reached out, knew I had some goods to give, so I was ready to give them. And I had 6 months until the summer of 2011 to prepare for this talk. And it got me to do things, right? Knowing this thing was on the calendar, this deadline, this experience that I was going to have put me in a position to do things and prepare like I had never done before. And it forced me to get up on stage and learn how to do that. It got me in front of the right resources at the right time. This is just-in-time learning, right? Not just-in-case learning, but just-in-time learning. I read Stand and Deliver by Dale Carnegie. I watched a lot of TED Talks, and I developed my own presentation. Now, 2 weeks before the event, PT reaches out. He said, Pat, you're ready, right? And I said, I think so. And he said, well, I have a favor to ask. I said, oh gosh, what is it? And he said his closing keynote dropped out of the event, and he no longer had anybody to close the show. And he had asked me to close the show. And he said it was totally up to me. If I didn't feel comfortable doing it, I didn't have to say yes, but I did say yes. And it was because I knew I'd be even more uncomfortable doing it. This was a huge opportunity, right? On paper, I get to keynote in front of a live audience. And that on my resume as a future, hopefully, public speaker, somebody who wanted to do this more and get better at it, as nervous as I was, I knew that this would be a great opportunity. And in retrospect, it was absolutely the right move. But I remember as soon as I hung up on the phone with PT after he had asked me, I had broken out in a sweat, like literal pit stains kind of sweat. And my wife even saw that I was looking kind of nauseous later that day as well. But again, a voluntary force function. I volunteered myself to put myself in a position of heightened pressure to be able to do what I needed to do to deliver. And in the book, I talk about the importance of putting yourself in these situations, right? A semi-heightened sense of danger, if you will. Not something that's actually dangerous, physically, something that could harm you, but something that creates a little pressure. And I think we all know we need a little bit of pressure. There's that cliche phrase, right? Like diamonds are formed under pressure. And when we put ourselves in a little bit of pressure, oftentimes we do deliver, especially when you tie in the why behind it, right? If you just put yourself in a situation that's kind of dangerous just because to try to get you to do something that you're really not even that into, well, then you're not going to take the action required. But when something's really important to you and when there's something at stake, and in this case, when there is an audience that's going to be there, and yes, there is a world where I perform so poorly that it damages my reputation. I knew I wouldn't do that, but I also was worried about that. But it did, again, force me to take action and do the right research to deliver something that I thought was pretty decent. And based on the line that formed after the presentation, based on the comments that I got a lot of comments of people who were surprised that that was my first live event that I'd ever spoken at. I even had a person reach out to me a couple weeks later who was an event coordinator at that event, not the event coordinator, but they worked at an event and they had ties to an event coordinator that then got me on that stage later on, which got me on another stage, which got me on another stage. And I started to get really good at public speaking. And for anybody who's ever seen me speak live, you might know that I try to bring world-class performance to the people on stage. So let's go back to today. I don't have my slides. They are not ready, nor will they ever be ready, because I am going to be volunteering to do the entire presentation without slides. Everybody else uses slides, so I'm not. I'm going to try something a little different. Now, what is this helping me do other than make me a little nervous, because I have often relied on the slides to help point me in the right direction, to help guide me through the presentation, to help remind me of certain things I should say. And To me, that is what the benefit of a slide presentation is. It's not to put a whole bunch of words where you don't even need to be on the stage. Your audience could just read the bullet points. No, that's death by PowerPoint. That's why they're called bullet points. No, it's little markers to help you and little markers to help amplify the messages that you're giving. But there are other ways to do that too. And I don't think I'll be spoiling this for anybody because by the time you listen to this, it'll be about a month after that event. And I hope Mike isn't listening to this. Mike is the founder of Social Media Marketing World and a great friend of mine. He and I have been in a mastermind group for over a decade together with so many other amazing people, Cliff Ravenscraft, Ray Edwards, Mark Mason, Leslie Samuel. It's just an amazing group of gentlemen. And I'm so proud of all of them. And Mike, don't be mad at me. I didn't have my slides, not because I didn't care about your event, but actually because I cared a little bit more. And I want to grow as well. I want to grow as a storyteller. I want to grow as somebody who could engage with an audience, a live audience, without slides. Because here's the thing. If I can do that, then the slides won't, A, feel like so much pressure like they often do every time I do a presentation like this. B, I will always be able to tell myself, I have proof that I don't even need the slides at all, right? This is a confidence booster. It's similar to what I share, the 1-1-1 strategy. If you've heard me talk about that before, this is a perfect strategy for anybody who's trying to get out of their own way when it comes to starting a business because you're worried that what you're doing is not qualified or not good enough for the people that you're serving or that you're not qualified, the imposter syndrome. And the 1-1-1 strategy is finding one person, finding one problem that one person has, and helping them solve that one problem. And when you do that, it unlocks in your brain this confidence, this, yes, I can do this. It becomes literal proof that all those negative things that you were saying about this not working or that you can't do it, those all go away. So I'm going to take a little bit of a risk, put myself in a slightly heightened sense of danger. And no, I'm not going to be physically injured at any moment, hopefully, unless I fall off the stage, knock on wood, that would be terrible. But I will be putting myself in a situation where it's me and a microphone and nothing on the projectors, nothing on the slides. And I am so excited about this as well. This is going to allow me to move around the room a little bit more and not have to always look back at the slides because sometimes these rooms don't have confidence monitors. I mean, there's so many benefits to this. Think about this. And I want you to also, while you're thinking about this, consider what is your version of what I'm doing here. I'm trying to lead by example and not just talk the talk like I am talking about in the book, but show you like I'm doing these things even as we speak to become a much better blank, much better speaker, much better YouTuber, much better writer. These are all things I'm doing to get better, faster. And so think about what is a voluntary force function that you could do. Maybe you're trying to learn a new language, for example. Okay, well, Duolingo is great. You can go hundreds of days on your streak, and yay, you've gotten that. Yay, but can you hold a conversation? How might you best be able to learn how to hold a conversation with somebody? Well, schedule a conversation with somebody in that language a month from now. And you're going to go to places that you'd never gone before when it comes to the way you learn, because you're learning now about things that matter. How do you start? What are the common questions that people ask themselves or ask you if you were having a conversation? And how might you learn those things and not the millions of words that you can learn, but just the most important few to engage in a conversation? You see what I mean? It really narrows down your focus on what actually matters. So when it comes to this presentation that I'm giving, what actually matters? Attention. How can I capture and hold the attention of this audience who's going to be sitting? This is a breakout session. So if it were a keynote presentation, I would still probably have slides because I want to fill out the room. I don't want to just have two large TV screens on either side of the stage, just like never doing anything. I think that is an amazing tool. I'm not saying that slides are bad. Yes, some slides can be terrible, but on a keynote stage like that, I think it would behoove you to utilize those tools in your performance and your choreography. But when it comes to a breakout session in a much smaller room where you're more intimately closer to your audience, I think there's a lot of amazing ways that you can better engage with that audience. And I'm going to do tactics like get the audience involved. Do I know exactly what I'm going to say? No. I know how I'm going to start, and that's really important. And I think that's the next thing when it comes to a lot of this kind of stuff in lean learning is just what is it that you need to do to get going? Because I've often found once you get going, once you hit record after you've built that little outline, things just start to flow. Just like this episode here. I have just a very small outline, and I wanted to tell a story about why I don't have my slides and why that's the case. And no, I'm not, again, creating this episode to just tell myself why it's okay to not have slides. Again, this is a purposeful decision that is putting me in a pressured situation because, yeah, there is something at stake here. I could perform poorly. It would not look great for Mike, and I care about Mike and his event, and it would put him in a bad position. Obviously, with people at this event who are marketers, who have personal brands and social profiles, this stuff could spread if I do pretty poorly. And yeah, that's true. But again, think about it realistically. As long as I do the work and I know what I'm going to talk about, not necessarily know what I'm going to say. There's a big distinction there. What am I going to talk about? But what am I going to say? Those are two different things. I am very confident that I'll be able to capture and hold attention for the 30 to 45 minutes that I need to, that I'll be able to tell story, that I'll be able to run through this framework I want to share, and also engage with the audience and get them participating and hopefully thinking a little bit more deeply about building a personal brand, which is what my talk is about. With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contract or agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Hiring shouldn't be a hassle or a drain on your budget. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent, saving you time and keeping costs in check all in one place. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way that they staff key projects and initiatives by assessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, administration support, marketing, and more. And I've personally used them myself and can vouch for them. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Go there now. Now, the structure of my talk is very much based on a framework, which definitely helps with the memorization of where I want to go and what I want to say. This is the Brand in a Hand framework. If you don't remember this was one of the first episodes of the year giving you this framework about building a personal brand. If you look at your hand and you start with your pinky finger, you start with the people. These are the people that you're serving and where they are, and also who else is in that space serving those same people, building out your market map. That's what the pinky represents. The ring finger, right? Ring finger, like where you put your ring when you get married. This is the dreams. This is the pursuits of the target audience, right? So you have your people, your pursuits, so that we're going all 5 Ps here. Your pursuits are the dreams, hopes, aspirations, desires, goals of that particular audience, and the words that they use to describe them, how they talk about them, who they look up to, and what they're trying to achieve. The middle finger is the middle finger for a very specific reason. Those are the problems that target audience goes through, those people. These are the obstacles that are in their way. This is what they say F you to. They hold up that middle finger to because they're not able to get to those goals and what they're pursuing because of the middle finger and all the things that are in the way. And of course, it's the largest finger that we have on our hand, so this is the largest problem. That's the middle finger. The pointer finger is where you point people to, your platform. This is where you set up shop. One platform that you call home, that you show up to and build that authority on. Authority, like we've talked about before, it requires the 3 C's: clarity, confidence, and showing up consistently. And when you do that, you start to build some authority. And you can use other C's to help you build authority, right? It might be the 7 C's or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But first C, case studies. Case studies. The contrarian view is another way to build authority, right? So again, you could see how it actually might be 7 C's. I might have to come up with a few more to make it 7, just to kind of like, oh, we're sailing on the 7 C's. I don't know. The dad jokes come out. And that's the fun thing about doing it this way versus the opposite extreme, which would be literally scripting everything I'm going to say and then having slides with every word that I'm going to say on it, right? That would be stupid. So I'm going to go, how do they say it? I'm going to raw dog. I'm going to raw dog this presentation. I saw a TikTok the other day about somebody who, quote unquote, raw dogged Disneyland, which means they went to Disneyland. They didn't ride any rides. They didn't bring any friends or family. They just went in and walked around, and it was just them and their thoughts the whole time. And then there was this trend, which was so stupid, that I saw on social recently before that, where you raw dog during a flight. And that means you're just sitting there in the plane. You're not listening to anything, watching anything. You don't have any devices out. You don't look at the screen, the entertainment screen in front of you. You're literally just sitting there with your thoughts, and that's quote unquote raw dogging it. Now, I'm not going to raw dog the presentation and just sit there on stage and do nothing, but I am going to go without slides. There's another important reason why I'm doing this, because I think it represents what I'm trying to make as far as a point here. By the way, let me finish the hand really quick. Pinky, people. Ring finger, pursuits. Middle finger, problems. Pointer finger, platform. Thumb, after you put all those 4 things together, you make a fist. What do you have left over? Your thumbs up. That is your product, what you could serve that audience with. And now that you know everything you need to know about them, if you've run through building a sales page before, it's kind of the same thing. Who is it that you're serving? What do they actually want? What's holding them back? What's the solution? What do you say? How do you provide that for them? And here's the price point. More P's, the price point. All right, going back to another thing I want to sort of represent by not doing slides is a lot of people who are building personal brands often think that it's about the logo and the website and what it looks like and getting things perfect on your Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And although that stuff is important, it's not where you start. And so the idea here being in this 30-minute time period, can I teach? Can I move people? Can I engage? Can I bring some emotion into this without slides to show that you don't need the visuals to still build a brand? Because what is a brand really? It's what people think about you. It's what people say and share when you are not there. It's how people describe what it is that you do for them. And that is what really matters. And so, again, this demonstration of not using slides, I think a lot of you might just think I'm just joshing and I'm just like, I don't have time to make slides. No, I do. I, in fact, have these slides available already for this talk. I've run this presentation on YouTube before already. But I think it's going to make more of an impact if I can move around the room and talk and tell a few stories. I do have in my mind the framework of the presentation, right? The brand in a hand, and then lead into the authority building stuff that I talked about in 861 to kind of support that, because that's how you stand out, what makes that a thing. And then I'm going to, the one thing that I might provide slides for, maybe it might make sense to bring some examples of this after I share the framework. Because all along the way, I'm going to have people also look at their own hand. That's the beauty of the brand in a hand. You can look at your own hand. Maybe you did this yourself when I asked you to look at the hand or was talking about the fingers. That's your personal slideshow. It's right in your hands, and it's quote unquote always in your hands to build your personal brand, not anybody else's. Right? There's a lot of layers here that I could go through. And these things, like the beauty of just allowing yourself to trust yourself with the knowledge that you know that you've practiced. And again, I've published a lot of content about these things that I'm talking about before. So I'm confident that I can talk about them. It's just how am I going to string them together? And the idea of just outlining and not scripting allows me room to play, to feel the energy of the room, to just kind of impromptu call on somebody and ask them a question about what I'm talking about and engage with them from there. And those are the fun and memorable moments that happen in a breakout session. Again, if this were a keynote, I think I'd approach it a little bit differently or a lot differently. I probably wouldn't be talking about building a personal brand at Social Media Marketing World on a keynote stage. But this is why it's a breakout. Anybody who's curious about that will come in and want to learn how to build up their brand. And like I was saying earlier, if there were going to be some slides for examples after the frameworks, it would be for things that I've done recently, like should I open it or should I keep it sealed? By the way, this YouTube channel is approaching 1.5 million subscribers. It's bonkers because it's kind of taking a worldwide viral approach right now. There is a DJ, let me grab his name because I would feel bad sharing this. But if you go to, let's see here, I'm on my phone because I've had a few people share this with me, JSTJR. So JST like just without the U and junior, the JSTJR, put out a TikTok and a Reels and a Shorts of him performing in front of 15,000 people. And during one of his sets, right before a beat drop, he inserts, should I open it or should I keep it sealed? And then he opens a pack on stage, a pack of Pokemon. This jingle that I've created, which is a auditory part of the brand, should I open it or should I keep it sealed, has taken the world by storm. I've had many people parody it. I had some videos of people parodying it hit millions of views. And a lot of people ask me, Pat, aren't you mad about that? They took your song and they're seeing millions of views. And I'm like, no, that is absolutely amazing. That is incredible. Just like that dude who did his morning routine by opening up Saratoga water and putting lemon in a bowl and putting his face in it and taking the tape off his mouth and just is absolutely ridiculous. He was asked on an interview as well what people thought or what he thought about people ripping off his morning routine and kind of sharing videos that are very similar. He's like, no, that is amazing because it always comes back to me as the one who started that. And same thing with SIOAO, SIKAS. Now, the brand also is very close to launching a merch line. So we have a t-shirt. If you imagine those college t-shirts that have like, Duke or Cal or whatever on the sweater kind of going across the front in sort of a slight arc, we're building a t-shirt line that is SIOAO, SIKAS, which if you know what should I open it or should I keep it sealed is, you would see that and you'd absolutely know what it is. If you didn't, you're like, what are all those letters? So number one, it could be a talking point, which is pretty cool. We have a lot of fans who do want to support the channel because they see me opening packs and it costs a lot and I often lose money on the pack. I am making money back on the shorts themselves, but it's been pretty cool to see. But more than that, this shirt will be in a package sent to a customer's house that says, should I open it or should I keep it sealed? And inside will be one shirt, but you're not sure which shirt it is. It could be the gray and black shirt that just says the should I open it acronym on the front, and on the back says, oh no, you should have kept it sealed, which is the audio that plays if I get a bad pull in these Pokemon cards. Or you might get the one with the yellow lettering. I believe it's yellow. We're still printing them out. I'm still getting samples of them right now that say, wow. So it's still the SIOAO, SIKAS on the front, but on the back says, wow, you actually got something good. So now the customers can play the game and they might get a good shirt or a bad shirt. It's still going to be a shirt either way, but we're working with a 3PL, third-party logistics company that will be able to program the hit rate that we want the good shirts to go at. So if we want to say, okay, we want 30% of customers, 3 out of every 10 to get one of the good shirts and 7 out of every 10 to get one of the bad shirts. I mean, they're all good quality. They're not like torn up or anything like that. And then inside, we also created a coin that says, open it on one side and keep it sealed on the other. And I think we're going to sell this for like $24 or something like that. It costs $8 to make. I think it's just something that is representative of the fact that this thing has taken a life of its own because I am consistently showing up every single day. We're on day 200 and so this is day, let me check. Opening my folders here. 251 was published yesterday. So we're a quarter of 1,000 the way to, 1,000, which is wild. Quarter of 1,000, 250 straight days. And when I talk about this idea of just continuously showing up and getting reps in and having you micro master parts of that every single time you show up, I've been able to get the editing down to about 16 to 17 minutes. I'm not quite yet breaking the 15-minute mark, which is the goal. And I'm, gamifying a little bit. But in just 15 minutes-ish a day, I'm able to create a channel that supports new videos that get 1 million views after 24 hours, is going viral, and is generating 5 figures. This is a brand new channel. And a lot of it has to do with the things I talked about in the brand in a hand, knowing exactly who this audience is, kind of people they are, what age they're at. And again, that all is relative to, for example, some of the jokes I put in and some of the references that I make, the pursuits that they have. They want their hands on these cards too. They want to see their favorite cards show up. And I film it in a way where it looks like you're almost holding the cards yourself. If you are holding your phone, it almost looks like you're the one holding these cards. The problems, we lean into how expensive these things are. We lean into how hard they are to get, all those kinds of things. I point people to, the platform. This is all 3 platforms, putting them on all 3 platforms natively each night at 8:30 p.m. I was late the other night and people thought I died. That's how consistent it's been. And then here comes the product, the t-shirt line. It's not magic. It's just showing up and showing up consistently and having fun with it. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm doing with both of these things that I'm sharing, not just the shorts channel, but with this presentation tomorrow. I'm so stoked. Even though I'm afraid, even though I'm nervous, I'm also excited. Because I've learned that same part of your brain fires up when you're nervous as when you're excited. So I'm flipping the script on what that actually means, these feelings that I'm feeling of nervousness. And I hope that I hit it out of the park for people. I hope it becomes a memorable presentation. I want, like, my visualization, if you want to call it that, or affirmation, or what I hope people will say after is, oh my gosh, my favorite presentation was Pat's, and he didn't even have any slides. That would speak so highly to the growth that I will hopefully have as a result of storytelling, engagement, and bringing some energy to the room. This is a corporate event. They're going to see slides at every other presentation. I'm going to pattern interrupt. Pat, turn interrupt with Pat. Anyway, just again, I wanted to show up for you today and share a little bit of the behind the scenes on what's going on. Again, this presentation at Social Media Marketing World tomorrow. And also, again, share examples of how I'm continuously learning by lean learning and implementing these processes in real time. So go ahead and check out the book, leanlearningbook.com. There should be some bonuses available there for you. If you buy more than one, you'll get access to a few more things and help out so much. And we are shooting for the New York Times. That's my visualization there. I imagine waking up on Wednesday after, this would be the 11th of June. That'll be the day that I know whether or not I hit the New York Times or not. And if I didn't, that's okay. I imagine the people reaching out and saying, this book was great. And that helps me and drives me as well. But I do have goals and aspirations to be a New York Times bestseller. This is a good shot. If I don't make it, you know what? I'm going to try again. I got a lot of other books in mind, but one at a time. So leanlearningbook.com. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? Score App helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? You record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips. Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio quality audio and high resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART.